Jai Hind, Namaste, welcome to Galp Taru, which is a confluence of folktales of India. My name is Ambalika and I am an author and storyteller. And Galp Taru is my special storytelling initiative on the occasion of the 75th year of Indian independence. If you are new to this channel, then heartiest welcome to you, and I hope you will choose to stay connected by clicking on that subscribe button and ticking the bell notification so that you don't miss any of our upcoming folk tales. And if you're already connected with us, then thank you so much for all your support, and I hope you will continue to do so. This week we are moving on to south of India. Let me give you a hint. This is a UNESCO World Heritage. Any guesses? Did you say Hampi? Well, you are right. I am talking about the Vijayanagar Empire, which is spread in the entire Deccan Plateau, which was spread in the entire Deccan Plateau, and it was formed as a result of revolting against the Tughlaq rule in Delhi, in fact, north of India, and it was founded in 1336 by the brothers Harihara I and Bukkaraya, who claimed to be belonging to the pastoral community which had a connection to the Yadava lineage, and it lasted quite a long time. Over 200 years, the empire survived and thrived and really made a name for itself as a very strong Hindu kingdom, even though it encouraged multi-faiths later on. Predominantly, it was ruled as a Hindu kingdom, and none of the foreign forces were able to make a dent on it. So it was quite a strong empire. And we know about Vijayanagara today mainly because of one king, Krishna Deva Raya. Krishna Deva Raya had come to the throne in 1509 and he ruled for 20 years. Now 20 years might not really be a very long time for the king, but Krishna Deva Raya did a fantastic job of ruling this kingdom. Not that he was a very authoritarian ruler, but he was considered to be quite kind, quite strategic when it came to military matters, and a very able administrator. And we know all of this because of the written records left by so many travelers, traders and ambassadors who visited Vijayanagara from outside of Asia. The Italian traveler Niccolo de Conti called Krishna Deva Raya as the most powerful king in whole of India, and the Portuguese traveler Domingo Paes has said that the kingdom of Vijayanagara was the most well-provided city outside of Europe. So that's how Krishna Deva Raya was viewed. That's how the empire was viewed outside of the Asian region. These were not just accolades that he won from foreigners. Within the kingdom and in the neighboring area also, he was awarded with a lot of respectable titles. For instance, he was addressed to as the Andhra Bhoja or the Andhra King, the King of Three Kings, the Lord of the Kannada Empire, and the King of the Karnataka Ratna Simhasana. Simhasana meaning throne. And he is also known as the protector of cows and Brahmins. However, Krishna Deva Raya was not just all about military expansion and being an administrator, ruling all the time, ensuring that Vijayanagara became the trade hub connecting Europe and East Asia. He was also a patron of culture and literature. In fact, it is said that even though the language of the court had Tamil, Sanskrit, Kannada and Telugu, this was considered to be the golden age for Telugu literature because almost all of the poets at that time composed in the Telugu language. And the king himself was quite fond of literary activities. In fact, he himself has also composed a couple of poems which shows the relationship between spirituality and the roles of a king. So he was quite interested in encouraging aspiring poets, and he was really very fond of spending his time in the court in the company of scholars, learned people, poets and palace officials who could tell very pleasant stories. So storytelling, we can say, that was a very important part of Krishna Deva Raya's cultural personality. And during the spring season, he used to have a special festival during which aspiring poets from all neighboring regions would come, kingdoms would come, and they could participate in very exciting contests of debates, drama, storytelling, and they would be handsomely rewarded as well. And all of these activities took place in a specially constructed great hall called the Bhuvana Vijayam, which is where all the poetry reading and witty literary contests were held. And Krishna Deva Raya believed that just as the 8 mythical elephants are responsible for holding on to the running of the universe, his grace and his kingdom is shouldered actually by the 8 poets of his kingdom, who shoulder the responsibility of spreading praises and recording the highs and lows of both the king and the kingdom. So he identified his top 8 poets and collectively referred to them as the ashtadiggajas, and they grace the Bhuvana Vijayam. And in this week's folk tale, we are going to talk about one of his most well-known ashtadiggaja, Tenali Rama. Now, we all know him and call him as Tenali Rama, but his actual name is Galp Ramakrishna. Tenali is actually the name of the village in which he was born, somewhere close in Andhra Pradesh. So, Galp Ramakrishna was born into a Hindu Niyogi Brahmin family, and his father served as a temple priest. But his father passed away when Ramakrishna was really very young, and his mother Lakshamma could do very little to ensure that he had continuous formal education. But that did not come in the way of the young boy's quest for knowledge. He was already blessed with a curious nature, and he was always thirsty for knowledge. So he would go to the school and he would stand outside the classrooms and he would listen very closely with his ears close to the walls and try his best to listen to what was being taught. And then he would memorize it, go home and recite it to his mother. And that is how he learned. And with a little divine intervention, he became a well-known scholar. And he found his way into the king's court, which is a really very exciting story. And so many people have heard it, so many people have told and retold it. And once he reached the king's court, obviously, there was no way he was not going to win the king's heart. And soon he became one of the ashtadiggajas. Now, I'm sure you have no doubts that, King Krishna Deva Raya was really very fond of Tenali Rama. And so were other kings. In fact, Babur himself had heard so much about Tenali Rama that he dispatched a messenger to the court of Vijayanagar requesting an audience with him. Now, here is something really very interesting. Krishna Deva Raya, for all his excellence in personality, also had a very haughty streak to him. He would use this haughtiness to keep all these foreign invaders at bay by talking about his might. Of course, we all know that the kingdom of Vijayanagar was really very strong when it came to the military. If other kingdoms had only 60,000 men, the army of the Vijayanagara kingdom had 2 lakh. So that's huge. But Krishna Deva Raya always made it a point to be very haughty about his abilities and the wonders of his kingdom, just so that the other rulers would always stay away. And he used the same technique when it came to treasuring Tenali Rama. So when Babur requested for an audience with Tenali Rama, Krishna Deva Raya told Tenali Rama that, listen, now the kingdom is in your hands. The respect, the grace, the protection of the kingdom is in your hands. In Hindi, we call it the izzat of the kingdom is in your hands. And well, you and I might have got frightened, but Tenali Ram just took it very coolly and he was like, okay, I know. Nothing new about that. And he did go to Delhi. He was Babur's guest for many months. And even though Babur threw challenge after challenge, Tenali Rama came out with flying colors, and of course, it goes without saying that Babur was super impressed with him. And while Babar was a long time back, Tenali Ram continues to amuse and impress us even today. So it is actually a matter of great honor for me to present a few nuggets of his witticism in this week's folktale episode, and I hope you will stay with me and watch them and enjoy them as well. So if you do not want to miss the story when it comes alive, please click on that bell notification and hit the subscribe button. I am off now to prepare the story, and I'll see you soon. Until then, Jai Hind, Vande Mataram.